Hello, this is Mr. Painter with another fabulous IXL tutorial. Today we are working on volumes of a cylinder in our IXL module. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and reset this particular module to 0 out of 0. So I've answered 0 questions with a SMART score of 0. Now, if you ever have an IXL and you're not quite sure what to do, the first step is just to read it and take a look at your notes that you were given in class. And also, if you get the first question wrong, you just take a look at step by step on how to do it. So here we go. A cylinder has a height of 13 inches and a radius of 14 inches. What is its volume? Use pi equals 3.14 and round your answer to the nearest hundredths. By the way, the nearest hundredths is 2 decimal places over to the right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm not sure what to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit submit. I'm going to go ahead and get it wrong. It says, sorry, incorrect. I still got a 0. Didn't matter, right? Okay, so now when I scroll down, I'm going to look at where it says remember, because remember is going to tell me the formula. So the volume of a cylinder, I need to know that volume equals pi times radius squared times h. All right, what does all that mean? So radius is 14. The radius is given right here. Radius equals 14. Perfect. Okay. The height of 13 was also given in the word problem of height of 13. So they're telling you what this stuff is to plug in. The only thing I'm not sure is, well, what about pi? But I believe in the problem it said pi is going to be 3.14. Okay, so just use pi as 3.14. There's a longer version of it, but we're just going to use to the nearest 100th digit of pi only. All right, and if you notice here, they plugged it in. 3.14 goes in for pi. Radius goes in twice because that is to the second power, so it is itself multiply itself, not times 2. So again, not times 2, but it's 14 times 14 because double the 14, 2 of them. And times 13, the height. And whatever that gives you is your final answer. So hence why we got the calculator open as well today. All right, here we go. First problem. We're going to go ahead and find the volume of a cylinder that has a height of 17 meters. So I'm going to go ahead and just annotate height of 17, a radius of 5 meters. What is the volume? And we need to know that pi equals 3.14 and round our answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so use the formula. We got volume equals pi multiply radius squared times h. And the first step is just plug in what you know. So volume's the only thing we don't know because that's what we're looking for. And we're going to use 3.14 for pi. Multiply the radius is 5. So it's going to be 5 to the second power. Be careful, second power there. Multiply the height of 17 meters. Not so bad after all because what we're doing here is just going to be multiplying out. Do the exponent first before multiplication. So order of operations here. So we got volume equals 3.14 multiply 5 multiply 5 times 17. All right. Our last step is just to go ahead and work this out in the calculator. So we're going to go to the calculator here. We're going to do 3.14 multiply 5 times 17. Now what the calculator won't do is it won't figure out how to plug it in. But once you get your multiplication all set up, then use the calculator. So multiply it out. On this particular problem, I'm getting 1,334 and 5. So we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. And if you notice, it's already rounded to the nearest tenth. So this one, we're good. Anything after 2 digits, then we need a round. So here we go. We're going to do 1,334.5. And let's see if we hit it. There we go. First one's correct. I got 12 points. All right, we're going to clear the board. And just to reset the calculator, you can just press refresh or you can hit AC, same thing. All right, next one. We got volume equals pi times radius squared times h. All right, let's see what's going on. We're going to use pi equals 3.14. Awesome. And round up my answer to the nearest hundredth. Ooh, but where's my radius and my height? Oh, here it is. They give it to us in the image this time. So we're going to grab it from here. Radius is the distance halfway from the center of a circle to the outer edge. And the height is how tall something is. So 13 equals height. Okay, now just take what we know and plug it in. So we got volume equals pi given up here, 3.14 multiply radius of 8 to the second power multiply the height of 13. All right, one more step. I'm going to branch out that 8 because that is 8 times 8. So I got volume equals 3.14 multiply 8 multiply 8 multiply 13. Why is there two 8s? Because 8 to the second power means 8 times 8. All right, so now our handy dandy calculator, and yeah, I would highly recommend using a calculator. Here we go, 3.14 multiply 8 times 8 times 13. Again, let the calculator do the work, but you have to plug it in correctly. So I am getting a volume of 2,612.48. All right, very good. So here we go. 2,612.48. Okay, just make a final check. Because it says round to the nearest hundredth, that means 2 decimal places over. So I got 2 decimal places over. So we're still good. Now, if it hits a third place over to the right, we're going to have to round. But right now, we're good. So 2,612 and 48. Double check it. Make sure it's always correct because you don't want to take a hit and go backwards on this. So basically, I don't want to try to get it wrong. So here we go. Keep it up. We're at 23. Moving right along. We're going to go ahead and clear the board. All right, and we're just going to keep going. So we got volume equals pi times radius squared times h. And you get faster at each question because you get to know the technique for it. So volume equals, well, remember that pi is given up here, 3.14, multiply the radius. Radius is the distance halfway across the circle, so we got halfway right here to the outer edge. 4 times 4, okay, because we're going to do the second power, right? So that's 4 times 4, times our last value of h is 8. All right, go ahead and clear the calculator. 3.14 multiply times 4 times 4 times 8. And not too bad this time. We got a volume of 401.92. All right, so now we're going to take that and just plug it in. So we got 401 and 92. And double check, round to the nearest hundredth means 2 decimal places over. 1, 2, looks good. We should be right on the money on this one. All right, got it done a little bit faster that time, not bad. All right, next up, what is the volume of the cylinder? We got volume equals pi times radius squared times h. Again, same formula. All right, volume equals pi is given to you every single time. It's 3.14. Multiply. Okay. Ooh, careful. The diameter in this case is 20. Well, Mr. Painter, why is it the diameter? Because if you notice, this dotted line goes completely across the entire cylinder. So what I normally want is I only want half of it from the center to the outside. So a couple ways you can do this. You can just take half the diameter and call it, well, radius equals, well, what's half of 20? Oh, it's 10. Okay, so the radius is actually 10 because he went all the way across. That's called the diameter, and we don't want the diameter in our formula. There's no D in the formula. So we're going to go ahead and use 10 to the second power times 10 times the height, which is also 10. So we're just going to go ahead and use 3 10s in this case. So one more time, where the 10s come from? Radius squared. So 2 of the 10s came from the radius, and the height came from the last 10. All right, clear off a calculator. We got 3.14 multiply times 10 times 10. Oh, going a little too fast. Back it up. Times 10 and times 10. And there we go. Looks like we got a whole number. This one came out really nice. No decimals. No worry about rounding. We got volume equals 3,140. And there we go. 3,140. Doing really good. I've answered 5 questions. Keep in mind, I did the first question incorrectly, so 4 questions has given me a smart score of 40. So not too bad. We're definitely on the right track. And we're just going to keep plugging away. So we got volume equals pi times r squared times h. And let's go find our missing values. So a cylinder has a height of 11. Nice. A radius of 6. Nice. They gave us the radius this time, not the diameter. And a pi of 3.14. And now, as always, round your answer to the nearest hundredth. All right, so now we're going to go 3.14 multiply 6 times 6, and our height is 11. And we're already set up, ready to go. Like I said, it gets faster as you go. So clear the board here on the calculator. 3.14 multiply 6 times 6. Now, in your head, if you want, well, Mr. Painter, can you just put 36 instead of 6 times 6? Yeah, that's fine. But I'm just matching it exactly. So if you did 3.14 times 36 times 11, works, right? Same thing. Times 11. And here we go. We got volume equals 1,243 and 44. 1, 2 decimal places is good. That is to the nearest hundredth exactly this time. So we can just go ahead and plug that in. 1,243.44. And again, we're at 47 with 5 questions correct. Keep in mind we did the first question incorrectly to learn how to do it. And clear the board. Here we go. We got volume equals, got to think right now, right? So pi times r squared times h. So we got volume equals 3.14 times the radius. Uh-oh. This is diameter again, so we're going to put d equals 28 because it's all the way across. And I'll just put little arrows there. So if we want halfway across, you got to think, well, what's half of 28? 28 divided 2 is 14. All right, and if you need to use a calculator, that's fine. So 28, you want half. So I want to divide. And there's your 14. So that's how you know a radius is going to be 14. So we're going to do 14 times to the second power, 14, times the height of 20. Nothing fancy about the height. Height is height, right? All right, so here we go. We're going to clear it. We got 3.14 times 14 times 14 times 20. And there we go. Number got large today because numbers are larger on the cylinder. So we got a final volume of, looks like 12,308 and 8. And that's what we're going to need to plug in. 12,308 and 8. And usually I just call my decimal the word and. So plug it in. And there we go. We're at a smart score of 54. Clear the board. All right. Cylinder keeps on going. So we got volume equals pi times r squared times h. So next step, we got volume equals pi 3.14 times, where is our radius? Uh-oh. Its volume is 11,304. So what they did is they're now giving you the volume. So what I'm going to do is we're going to change V I didn't mean to clear the whole board. Okay, so let's go ahead and find out what we do know. So cylinder has height of 16. We know the volume is 11,304. It's asking for the radius, and we know pi is 3.14. So it's going to make our problem a little bit more interesting. But same formula. Okay, so I'm going to start with the formula again. So I got V equals pi times radius squared times h. So volume, V is going to be equal to 11,304 equals pi. They gave it to you as 3.14 times. Now, they didn't give you the radius. See, the radius is the question here. So I'm going to leave r squared alone. No touchy. Times the height of 16. So what we got to do is we got to solve for r squared. How interesting. All right, so what I want to do is I want to take opposites because the whole thing's multiply. Well, let's just divide, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 3.14 on both sides. So divide 3.14 here, which is going to eliminate the 3.14 because we want to get r by itself. So this is algebra, right? So we're going to divide 3.14. So this is the first part I'm going to put in the calculator. Yeah, you got to use a calculator, right? All right, so 11,304. Oops, got to get that 0 in there. 4, there we go. Divide pi, 3.14. It's 3,600. That's going to make this problem a lot nicer. So we got 3,600 equals, pi's out, thank goodness. Okay, equals r squared times 16. Now, I want to get 16 out of there, so divide by 16 both sides. Divide 16. Divide 16. See, it's just opposite, right? So I got my 3,600 in my calculator. I'm going to go ahead and divide 16. Be careful that you plug it in correctly. Once in a while, I do hit a wrong button. So I got 225. And I'm just going to go down here. So 225. 16s are out, equals r squared. Ooh, almost done. And the opposite of r squared is something called the square root. So what happens is the square root cancels the square. Instead of going r times r, the square root says, well, what gives you r when it's r times r? So square root of 225 in my calculator here, the square root button is underneath the log button. So square root 225, if you want to, you can close the parenthesis. So I'm asking the calculator, well, what number times the exact number gives you 225? And sometimes they're going to look familiar, and sometimes they're not. Okay? But in this particular case, 15 times 15 is 225. But because the square root is 15, the radius is equal to 15. So our radius is missing, and it was 15. Typically, these should come out to whole numbers on IXL. So if you get some crazy number for a missing radius, they might ask you to find the missing height, and you get some like crazy decimal number. Just take a look at the work once again. They're not out to make it super difficult, but again, this should be a whole number, so that way it kind of verifies, hey, we were on the right track. So r equals 15 yards. Ugh, I'm always like afraid. It's like, oh, am I gonna get it right? Am I gonna get it right? Yeah, of course, right? All right, we're at smart score 60. Clear our board. That last one was kind of a doozy. In fact, I'm going to leave a little bit more room for my work just in case it gets long again. All right, so I'm going to read the question because I notice they're being sneaky about what they're asking for. So a cylinder has a height of 17. All right. Its volume is 7,686 and 72. So again, it looks like we're going to be backwards solving using division. What is the radius of the cylinder when pi is 3.14? So it's the exact same thing we did on our last problem. Start with the formula. V equals pi times r squared times h. And plug in what you know. So volume is 7,686.72. Keep the decimal. The decimal is going to help make it into a whole number. Remember, the goal is we try to get a whole number for the radius. Equals pi 3.14 multiply r squared. The radius, we don't know, right? So leave that as r squared. That's what we're solving for. Times the height. Height is 17. So they give us everything but the radius. No problem, because we can just work out the radius, right? All right. First step, let's get rid of pi by doing the opposite. So we're going to solve for radius squared. Therefore, we're going to divide out 3.14 and eventually divide out 17. So 3.14, if we divide that on one side, we got to divide it on the other side. So divide 3.14. All right. So now, clear off a calculator. Type in the entire volume of 7,686.72. Divide pi 3.14. We're going to cross our fingers for a whole number. And that's a good sign that we're on the right track. All right, so now we got 2,448 equals. Pi's are out. R squared comes down, so r to the second power times 17. Well, the 17's got to go, so we got divide 17 and divide 17. So our next step is to go ahead and plug that in the calculator. We got 2,448 divide 17 and 144. So we got 144 equals r squared, and 17s are out. Now this one you can do on your own. So the opposite of the square is the square root, and you got to ask yourself, well, what's the same number times the same number to give you 144? Yeah, 12, right? 12 times 12 gives you 144. So, you know, if, like for an example, what's the square root of 121? 11, right? Square root of 10, or square root of 100 is 10, and so forth. So this is what I call one of those common square roots. And 12, therefore, gives you the radius. And there we go. We're going to plug in our 12. All right, so our score is 65, moving right along. Woohoo! All right, next up, cylinder has a radius of 18 meters. Its volume is 9,156.44. What's the height of the cylinder? So now they're asking for height instead of radius. A little bit different, but it's still not bad. We're going to continue to use pi as 3.14. So here we go. We got volume equals, volume. Oh, they gave it to us. Let me do the formula first. So volume equals pi times r squared times h. All right, so our volume is 9,156.24 equals pi. They also gave it to us. They gave us 3.14 multiply r. I believe they gave it to us this time. Radius of 18 meters. Okay, 18 to the second power. And the height, we don't know. This is the one we're looking for this time. So we're going to leave it as h. That's what we're going to solve for. All right, one step at a time. Let's go ahead and divide out pi. I think that decimal helps take out the decimal, so we'll get whole numbers at the end. So I usually try to do that first. So I'm going to do 3.14 divided from both of these. So calculator, was it 9,156.24 divide 3.14, which is pi. Yeah, that's nice, right? Took out the decimal. So now we get 2,916 equals pi is out. We got 18 times 18, because that's 18 to the second power, times h. All right, next up, what I'm going to do is I mean, there's two ways you can do this. You can take 18, divide, and divide 18 again. But what I want to do is I want to just do like 18 times 18, then divide it. So here we go. We're going to do 18. By the way, if you're looking for the second power, you see where it says x to the y right here? It creates a little box. It's a 2. That's 18 to the second power. Okay. So 324. So 18 times 18 is 324. And now I can take our 2,916 divide 324. Divide 324 from both sides. And that's how we're going to get rid of the 18. So again, you could divide 18, then whatever you get, divide 18 again. But I just, I'd rather do it in one shot right here, right? So we got 2,916 divide 324 equals 9. Ooh, this number came out nice. Okay, we got 9 equals 18. They're out because we divided by the 324 equals h. There we go. We're done because there's no square root because we're not solving for the radius this time. So 9 is the height. And again, we're going for whole numbers. So if the number seems kind of, if it seems like a decimal or something when solving for radius or height, something's probably wrong, right? Okay. Okay, we're at 70. We're only 9 problems in. Not bad. Again, we got one wrong at the beginning to learn how to do it, but we're almost there. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. A cylinder has a height of 10. Its volume is 12,560. What is the radius of the cylinder? So we don't know radius, but we do know that pi is 3.14. So because we're solving for radius, again, we're kind of looking for a whole number. Okay, it should come out pretty nice. All right, formula, right? It's like, man, where do I start? Just use the same formula over and over. So volume equals pi times radius squared times h. Okay, so now volume is 12,560 equals 3.14 multiply, we don't know the radius, so I'm going to leave it as radius squared, and we do know the height is 10. And now we're just going to go ahead and do the opposite, divide as we go down, and go from there. So where to start? Let's start with dividing out pi. So divide out 3.14 from both sides referring to the equal sign, left and right side. So 3.14. And calculator, so I got 12,560 divide 3.14. Let's see, and woo, 4,000 even. 4,000 even. Pi's are out, equals r to the second power times 10. Now this is not bad at all. Divide 10 both sides. By the way, that is a beautiful 10, in case you're thinking about, like, Mr. Painter, what is that? Yeah, it's a beautiful 10. So if we're multiplying r squared times 10, the opposite is divide 10 on both sides. And what's nice about dividing by 10, you eliminate zeros. 400 divided 1 is 400, right? So 4,000 divided 10 is 400 equals r squared, and 10s are out. So now you ask yourself, well, what number gives you 400? Should be 20, right? 20 times 20 gives you 400. So those are one of those you kind of get to know after a while. So in case you want to see that in action, square root 400 in the calculator. There it is plugged in. Equals 20. So 20 equals r. And why do we do that? Because we did something called the square root to get rid of the squared power. So therefore, radius is 20. All right, we're going to clear the board. All right, what am I at? 74, 10 questions in. So I might get this done in about 13, 14 questions. But as you can see, even though I'm explaining it, it's getting faster and faster. And as you guys figure it out, use the calculator, right? All right. Find the volume of the cylinder. Okay, this is just a straight question, so just find V again. They give you pi as 3.14. Radius is 13. Notice it's not the diameter, so that is ready to go. And the height is 13. This might be an unlucky problem because a lot of 13s in there, but we'll find out what happens. So volume equals pi times r squared times h. So I got volume equals 3.14 times r squared. R is going to be 13 to the second power times h, 13 again. All right. What I want to do is I want to branch out the 13 twice for the r squared, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a slide over here. So I got volume equals 3.14 times 13 twice, 13 times 13, and the last 13 there. So why do we have 3 13s? Because it's 13 times 13 there, and the height of 13 is that 13 right there. So now, calculator. This one should be done. So 3.14 times 13 times 13 times 13. And notice that when I check my calculator, I forgot the multiplication. So check it before you hit enter. That way you don't take a risk on getting it wrong, because these problems take a little bit of time to do, and careless mistakes are just going to cause you to do more of them, and we're just not trying to do that right now. All right. Final answer is a volume of, I'm going to say 6,898.58. And here we go. 6,898.58. 6,898.58. And submit it. All right, smart score is 78. It looks like one more problem correct, and we'll have our smart score of 80 for today. All right. Here we go. A cylinder has a radius of 17. Volume is nice and big of 17,241 and 74. What is the height? So we're solving for h, and they did give us pi of 3.14 once again. All right, so here we go. We got volume equals pi times r squared times h. All right, so we got volume equals, well, we already did that, so I don't know why I even do that. So just plug in what volume is. So volume is 17,241.74. Definitely carry the decimal because there's a reason for it. Equals 3.14 times r squared. We're solving for that, so leave it as r squared. We don't know. Times h. What is the height? Oh, they did give us a radius. The radius is 17, and we're looking for the height. So I'm going to take that back. It's okay to make mistakes. Just go back and fix it. Okay, radius is 17 to the second power times h. That's the one we're looking for. Okay, now we're set up, ready to go. Let's get rid of pi, and we're going to hope that eliminates the decimal. It usually does. So 17,241 and 74. Divide 3.14 on both sides. So we're going to divide 3.14 with the goal of getting rid of pi on the right side. All right, 17,241. I'm double checking, make sure. 17,241. Yep. And 74.74. Divide 3.14. And like I said, you always cross your fingers. Hope the decimal goes away, because that's kind of our goal. Okay, so we got 5,491 equals pi is out, 17 squared times h. And again, just my preference here. Let's take 17 to the second power and actually work it out. So 17 times 17. 17 times 17 gives us 289. times H and bring down our volume. So 5,491. And last step, divide it out. Divide 289. Divide 289. Divide 289. So here we go. We got 5,491 divide 289. 289 and 19 equals, eliminate our radius there, H. So 19 is the height. All right, see if we got it right. And we did. All right, so taking a look at your IXLs, I got to 82 and 12 problems. Keep in mind, I got the first one wrong on purpose. So if you are careful, 12 problems later, you should be very successful. Watch out for the diameter and watch out what you're solving for. So you might be solving for the radius, you might be solving for the height, or you might be solving for the volume. Besides that, have a great day. And this concludes your IXL tutorial.